Hey everyone, welcome back. Today, we're unpacking a subject that is absolutely essential for any modern organization. Yet, it often gets completely misunderstood. We're talking about information systems governance. We all rely so heavily on technology for just about everything, from managing our data to making daily decisions. But here's the thing, simply having the technology, it's just not enough. It requires direction, it requires a real strategy.
Okay, let's dive into this. Seriously, think about it for a second. Why do so many incredibly expensive, state-of-the-art IT systems just completely fail to help organizations achieve their actual goals? Well, without proper oversight, we see massive mismatches between what an organization actually needs and the shiny new systems they end up buying. We see terrible data quality and, worst of all, nobody taking accountability when things go off the rails. So we're going to look at the structured frameworks that attempt to solve all this chaos.
Here is our roadmap for today's explainer. We'll start with IT governance concepts, explore why governance matters, and then break down the ISO/IEC 38500 standard and its 6 core principles. After that, we'll look at the COBIT framework. And finally, we'll wrap up with governance versus management.
Starting us off, Section 1, IT governance concepts, bridging the gap between technology and goals.
So, researchers Lawton and Lawton define information systems governance as a set of policies, organizational structures, processes, and decision mechanisms ensuring IT is managed in alignment with organizational goals to add value and provide reliable information. The big takeaway for us here is that governance isn't just about servers or software. Actually, it's way bigger than that. It encompasses human resources, business processes, and overarching policies. It treats the entire information system as a core part of the organization's overarching strategy. And this brilliantly illustrates the concept. Think of governance as a literal bridge. It's connecting what the organization wants to achieve with how the IT department is actually managed on a day-to-day basis. When this bridge is strong, governance directs IT to produce information that is accurate, relevant, timely, and consistent. And that high-quality information, that becomes the reliable foundation that leaders use to make really effective, accountable decisions. Moving right along to Section 2, why governance matters. The stakes of technology investments. So the crucial point is that implementing governance actually achieves 5 critical objectives. First, it aligns IT management directly with the organization's vision. Second, it ensures the system produces reliable information for decisions. Third, it optimizes your IT resources effectively. Fourth, it drastically increases accountability by defining super clear roles. And fifth, it supports ongoing risk management and continuous improvement. When you hit these 5 objectives, you completely bypass those usual, painful pitfalls of wasted resources and misaligned technology. Next up, Section 3, ISO/IEC 3850 brand standard, the rules of the game. To keep IT on track, international organizations have developed standardized frameworks. ISO/IEC 38500 is this incredibly popular international standard designed specifically to guide organizational leaders. It focuses on directing, evaluating, and monitoring IT. But here's the kicker. This standard doesn't get bogged down in granular technical IT procedures. Instead, it offers high-level guiding principles for decision-makers. And because it's principles-based, it's incredibly flexible. You can apply this to a government agency, a massive private corporation, a university, or even a small nonprofit. Which brings us to Section 4, 6 core ISO principles, the foundation of IT decision-making. Let's move to and see how this builds a really comprehensive strategy. Think of these as building blocks. It starts with responsibility, meaning everyone has clear roles and authority. This drives the strategy, ensuring IT supports the core mission. That strategy then dictates our acquisition, so we only buy what we actually need, based on costs and risks. From there, we monitor performance to make sure the tech works efficiently, and conformance to ensure we're complying with all the necessary laws and policies. And finally, human behavior. We have to remember that actual real humans use these systems, so we absolutely must consider their needs and abilities to make sure they actually adopt the technology. Let's apply this theory to a real-world scenario. Imagine a university developing a brand new academic information system. Now, a good implementation relies heavily on those ISO principles. The university plans based on institutional needs, they appoint a clear IT lead, they ensure data compliance, and they actively involve professors and students in the evaluation. The result? A highly beneficial investment. But what happens without governance? Well, you get zero planning, unclear roles, ignored data security, and ultimately a system nobody wants to use.
The result is just massive operational risk, wasted funds, and endless frustration for everyone involved.
Section 5. The COBIT Framework, the Systematic Playbook.
Now, developed by ISACA, COBIT, which stands for Control Objectives for Information and Related Technologies, is a deeply systematic framework. While ISO was all about the guiding principles, COBIT provides the actual playbook on how to align IT with organizational goals. Its key characteristics include creating stakeholder value, strict alignment of IT and organizational goals, rigorous risk and compliance management, optimizing those IT resources, and built-in mechanisms for continuous governance evaluation. But COBIT's real superpower? That's how it clearly separates and integrates governance and management.
Finally, Section 6. Governance versus Management. Understanding the crucial difference.
Now, what's really interesting about this is how COBIT draws a very strict line between leadership and execution. Governance is about evaluating organizational needs, directing the strategic direction, and monitoring to see if goals are achieved. Basically, governance is the what and the why. Management, on the other hand, takes that direction and plans the activities, builds the systems, and runs the daily operations. Management is the how. In the COBIT framework, these two functions are completely complementary, but they absolutely must remain distinct if you want to maintain accountability.
Returning to our university example one last time, this separation becomes incredibly clear. A good COBIT implementation means the university's leaders, acting as governance, set the strategic goals, approve the budget, and define what success actually looks like. Then, the IT department, acting as management, takes over to plan the work, code the application, train the users, and maintain the daily operations. They check back in with leadership regularly. A bad COBIT implementation happens when those lines blur or disappear entirely. If leadership doesn't set a strategy, or if IT tries to set organizational goals without any oversight, you are guaranteed to get project delays, budget blowouts, and a system that totally fails to support academic decision-making.
So, it all comes down to control, direction, and continuous evaluation. Information systems governance isn't just some niche IT issue. It is a fundamental leadership responsibility. As we wrap up this explainer, I want to leave you with a critical question to consider about your own workplace. Is your organization's technology actually driving their strategy forward? Or is an unmanaged system just quietly draining your budget? Think about how those ISO principles and COBIT structures might just be the exact bridge you need to build. Thanks so much for joining me on this deep dive, and keep learning.